Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just now tuning in, you are here in the sit down presented by Duff, Smith Wings, and BuffaloSauceGod.com, hosted by the Sauce God at Buffalo Sauce God and Ramparts Hockey, right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. So if you haven't already done so, hit us with a like and a share. Join us here in the comments. If you're watching on X, make sure you hit that repost. Join us in the comments section as well. Make sure you're following, liked, and subscribe with your notifications turned on, so you never miss the sit down live or any of the content coming from Sauce God and the guys to GameBook. This will also be available via audio podcast the following day after the recording of it live. So just sit tight, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great show for you tonight as we are going to discuss the Buffalo Bills and last week's NFL draft. Don't go anywhere. You're live here in the sit down.
What's good, Bills Mafia? Is Stevie Johnson, and you're in the sit down with my man Sauce God. Go Bills. What's good, Bills Mafia? Is Stevie Johnson, and you're in the sit down with my man Sauce God. Go Bills.
Yeah, that's right. We had to hear it twice. And let's get this background off of here, and let's get our wonderful faces up on the screen. It is, of course, the Sauce God and Ramparts Hockey Live here in the sit down on Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. This is my Facebook, Anthony Bomasudo. Make sure you are following and liked with your notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the Buffalo Bills updates. Of course, real fast, Gregory Rousseau's fifth-year option was picked up by the Buffalo Bills, ultimately extending that rookie contract, giving him another year in Buffalo, and I'm sure that they're going to work towards a contract extension in the future. But, hey, that's what things are working in shape for. Of course, we had the NFL draft last Thursday. Myself and Rampart here had you guys covered all the way through round one until it obviously got so fucking late. Then the Bills trade back. Then they don't even draft in the first round. But Rampart, how are you doing today, brother? Happy to have you on again. How are you?
Man, finally, it's a beautiful day here in Western New York, man. It's like 68 degrees out. Yeah, I did see Deion Jones was signed. Pretty sure he played for the Browns. He's not a bad pickup for the Bills. I think it's going to be a good football season, fellas, so let's get right into it.
Of course, we have a lot to discuss. The Buffalo Bills trading out of round one and trading with Kansas City. Who do they select in round two? Keon Coleman. They obviously go and get a safety later on as well. The Buffalo Bills, I felt, made some interesting moves. But some people were disappointed because they didn't trade up in round one. But I've got an opinion on that. All that and much more. We're going to talk about each of the Buffalo Bills' draft picks and everything you guys need right here in the sit-down presented by Duff, Smith Wings at BuffaloSauceGod.com. So with that being said, we're going to play this introduction video and get it kicked off. You're live here in the sit-down, your sports and entertainment show, and all of Buffalo sports.
Let's get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's simple, baby. Buffalo Bills football is heck, all right? Let me tell you something.
I'm gonna crack a cold one because since it's a tailgate.
Ooh, ice cold, Mike. Let me tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are live here in the sit down with Sauce God, the sports and entertainment show.
I'm whipping the sauce, I'm tripping, of course, I want it all. All of my dogs be running with guard. Your mama, you're holding your pennies and bra. Cause when I get whipping the sauce, you taking it off. I'm dancing on tracks like stomping the yard. We keeping it quiet, we moving in silence. But now we starting to riot, yeah. Keeping my eye on the prize. I got me a queen, we riding like Bonnie and Clyde. Trips to Dubai, the way I be blessing. I'm destined for changing my decimals. Decibels hitting the wave, I'm rapping incredible. Splitting their head like a cantaloupe edible. Got me so high, I'm touching the sky. Of course, I give it my all. I'm whipping the sauce, kicking the door. But then we been here before. She ain't involved, well, she ain't involved. Taking my shot, even if down, we tying the score. Do your dancing, now twist, don't stress, don't trip. Whipping sauce real quick, stay dripping. Sipping on cognac, real tea in my veins, but you find that I'm whipping it, watch it get saucy.
How you doing it?
I'm twisting and mixing them, shaking them haters right off me.
What you doing?
You're live here in the sit down, a sports and entertainment show covering all Buffalo sports and all things daily entertainment, sports entertainment with myself, the Sauce God, and Ramparts Hockey. So let's talk about it. Buffalo Bills trade out of round one. We waited all damn night. Okay, we had everybody covered. We had some entertaining talk on last week's show, and it was awesome. But the Bills then trade back to then trade back again with Carolina to then move out of round one in total. So people were shocked, Tower, that they traded with Kansas City, but in my opinion, it was a good move. They obviously threw a lot of smoke signals at Kansas City. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're going to go get this guy. So Kansas City felt we got to trade with him to move up. And what did the Buffalo Bills need to do? They needed to acquire some more draft capital because this is a team that is financially strapped this season. It is a team that is going to be more competitive when it comes to paying players next season, sure, but we still have a season in front of us, and Brandon Beane is not interested in rebuilding. First and foremost, I think Xavier Worthy is a great player, but I don't necessarily always buy into the speed. Okay, John Ross, right? John Ross. What do we know about John Ross? He's making a comeback this year in the NFL. Okay, this is a guy that used to have the fastest 40-yard time. People don't even talk about Don Beebe, who actually had the fastest unofficial 40-yard time in like history. It was like a 4.2 flat, but nobody talks about that. I didn't think that was the kind of receiver that the Buffalo Bills wanted. They never obviously wanted Brian Thomas Jr. I felt once we saw Tyler, Marvin Harrison Jr. go, Malik Neighbors go, Romo Duns go, at that point, it started to become more of an idea to me that the Bills were going to be more interested in trading back than they were in trading up. Come to find out afterwards that they weren't even interested in trading up at all. There wasn't a guy that they were trying to be all in for. Tyler, them trading with Kansas City, though, does that sit like bad with you or no?
Not at all. I mean, yeah, everybody's going to say they're a division rival and everything, but so is the Bengals. What would be any difference if they traded with the Bengals, right? So I think they took exactly what they needed in the draft. Obviously, Keon Coleman was, in my opinion, their number one guy they wanted to go for. So you trade back, you get a couple picks, you get your guy still. I mean, that's unbelievable drafting, and I praise Brandon Beane for that.
Here's a good point, too, from John Robert. By the way, appreciate you for tuning in, John, longtime listener of the Sit Down, and always tune in with us. I believe that, obviously, Keon Coleman was the guy that they wanted, like you said. And when you look at his skill set, it makes sense. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. This guy is probably, some people say, could be possibly the best 50-50 receiver here in the NFL near future. Who knows? Obviously, we have time will tell for that. But I will highlight this, in 12 games at Florida State, people were a little concerned with his receiving, with his catches and his receiving yards. He had 50 catches for 658 receiving yards. Also, too, well, for some reason, I want to look at his actual game log for 2023 if I can, because Keon Coleman, I'm pretty sure that his receiver in college, his senior year, actually was hurt for the second half of the year. So he had in his first game 9 catches, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns. Okay, and that's coming against Louisiana State. Southern Mississippi, 3 catches, 48 yards. Doesn't play against Boston College. Clemson, 5 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, so he had a touchdown in all 3 weeks that he played there. All right, then let's go look for even further. 3 catches, 22 yards against Virginia Tech. I'm not sure what the story is there, but against Syracuse, we don't do much about. 9 catches, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Against Wake Forest, 7 catches, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. So from what I'm seeing, he didn't necessarily have a great quarterback throwing to him. That's why a guy like this fell so far. People talked about his attitude. Everything I saw in his press conference was exactly what I want. The guy saw Wegmans cookies and his eyes lit up. Then he's talking about his fucking jackets that he got on sale at Macy's. You got a receiver that, like, you felt like you couldn't pay the guy enough. Then you got a guy over here that's trying to stay cheap. And I think the Bills saw something in his personality that makes it seem well for him to fit with this Buffalo Bills squad. Worthy is small and he drops passes. I mean, hey, granted, Tyreek Hill's not a big guy, but not everybody's Tyreek Hill. All right, Tyreek Hill was a different type of player. He had the blessing of playing with Patrick Mahomes, this and that, and now yada, yada, whatever you want to say. But overall, I thought it was a great pick because you acquire some draft picks. You get the guy that you want in the right area that you're going to get him, right? Because he wasn't going to be taken at 28. He wasn't going to be taken at 31. So then they're sitting at 33. Then the Patriots were at 34. And I think that's what, talked about Deebo Samuel possibly getting traded to the Bills. That was all just a bunch of smoke. One more fact, Tyler, before I go on to you here. Andre Reed is going to coach Keon. And that's something Andre Reed actually came right out and said, that he's the first young receiver from the Bills to reach out to him. And that's something because, hey, that was the guy that was the king over the middle. Tyler, what do you think of Keon Coleman so far, man?
He's got to prove it on the field, man. You draft him to be, in my opinion, the number one receiver. I mean, you got, Shakir. I think Shakir's more fitted for, the number two, maybe the slot. Uh, this is like I said, like you said, I mean, it's a guy that, who's his quarterback played in college, right? You're going to a guy like Josh Allen that absolutely got a bazooka of an arm and, 6'4", big frame. That's huge in the red zone. So hopefully, you said that he had a lot of touchdowns last year, every game almost. I mean, that's where it's coming from, the red zone. So I think, it's a great pickup for the Buffalo Bills. You need that guy that's going to block for James Cook as well. I think it's going to be a perfect fit here in Western New York.
Yeah, and something I'll say, too, from everything I saw with the Bills draft room and everything that I've seen and heard since then, it seems as if this was a mutual decision amongst everybody in the Bills front office, the coaching staff, Josh Allen. This was a guy that Josh Allen liked. Joe Brady was in the picture. This is probably a guy that he felt would complement this offense well. Now, he's 6'4", 210, and he's only 20 years old. So he's going to fill out even more, and I'm sure that the more he gets time under his belt, he's going to really mold into a really solid – I mean, the size is there. You know what I mean? 6'4", we're talking Julio Jones size. We're talking Andre Johnson size. Not quite Megatron size, but, in that ballpark. But also, he's working right now in the offseason with Jamar Chase. So I think that's a guy, obviously, that understands what it takes, and he's willing to work hard, and I think he's going to fit well. And, hey, he's from Michigan, so technically he's used to a little bit of this cold weather, and that's something that we want to see a little bit more of, like you talked about. Stephon Diggs wasn't made to catch balls in the fucking cold, right? So ultimately, the Bills then, and we move on from Keon Coleman. The Bills draft a safety in round 3 that I thought, they draft him in round 2, technically because they had 2 second-round picks, and they get Cole Bishop, safety out of Utah. And I mean, this kid, from what I've seen, he's going to fit in well with this defense. And it's a defense that does well under Sean McDermott. Their defensive backs typically do well. And by the way, to your comment, Tyler, rumors that Shaquille will play outside some, and when he does, Kincaid will play slot. That's the thing is, you people fail to realize how fucking versatile this Bills offense is with a guy like Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir, who can play outside, play slot, play inside, whatever the fuck you need him to do, right?
Right. I mean, man, dude, you got a guy, if Keon Coleman can be a Larry Fitzgerald type where, you're what you're getting out of him every day. And I don't want to put this on this kid, but I'm just saying, and then you got Dalton Kincaid in the slot, playing a little, George Kittle, Travis Kelce type, and man, dude, with that type of offense and firepower, I mean, it's going to open everything up. Josh Allen running off the bootleg. You got outside zones. You got all this type of offense that you can run because you got so many versatile pieces to this offense.
So then the Bills, obviously, like I said, they addressed the safety position because they, at the moment, no Micah Hyde. Jordan Poyer is a Miami Dolphin. And from what we know, Taylor Rapp obviously signs an extension with the Bills. They got that Mike Edwards guy from the Kansas City Chiefs in the offseason and free agency too. So I think that this is something the Bills did well, addressing needs, right? They then go get Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle out of Duke in the 3rd round of the 95th pick. And I think that this kid can definitely play. He's a wrecker. Cole Bishop is aggressive. I agree with that. And he is something that reminds me a lot of Taylor Rapp's skill set, a little bit of Jordan Poyer's skill set, right? The Bills then drafted Ray Davis, not Ray Leach, Ray Davis out of the 4th round out of Kentucky and at the 128th pick. And I mean, from what I've seen, he could definitely play running back pretty well. And I think this is an offense, obviously, that is set for James Cook, Ty Johnson. But, hey, you can never have too many running backs in the NFL. They're a dime a dozen. Then the Bills go on into round 5. Cedric Van Granger, who is a center out of Georgia. And from what I'm guessing, he might become the starter for the Bills offensive line, who just lost Mitch Morse in the offseason. So that's something else that they needed to address. Then they get a Duff. I can't fucking say his last name. Ulofishio. That's a linebacker out of Washington. Then they got Javon Solomon in round 5, who is a defensive end out of Troy. Then Tylen Grable, offensive tackle, it looks like, in round 6. So overall, I felt the Bills, they stood tall. Okay? They stood tall. They sent smoke signals out there that got other teams like Kansas City to jump and bite the fucking, take the bait and go after guys earlier than they had to. the Bills ultimately, I thought, they got a guy that's going to work well for this offense, which is the biggest need they needed to address the receiver position. But Tyler, what did you make of the Saints' first round choice?
We got exactly what we needed, a tackle. You gotta protect the merchandise, and right now the merchandise is unfortunately Derek Carr. And I'm gonna say that again. Unfortunately, Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr never got a real shot in the NFL. I think, you got a guy like John Gruden in there and you fucking getting it going. I think that's kind of the guy that Derek Carr needed. And after that got kind of stripped from him, it was kind of like, okay, it's Derek Carr. You know what I mean? So, we still got Kamara in the backfield. I think we'll be all right. Left tackle, like I said, Teron Armstead was huge for us as a piece, and we let him go to the Dolphins. So squish the fins, buddy. Let's go.
Squish the fins all fucking day. And you're live here in the Sit Down, a sports entertainment show right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and X, formerly known as Twitter, right here, presented by Duff, Smith Wings, and BuffaloSauceGuy.com, hosted by the Sauce Guy and Ramparts Hockey. And we're discussing the Buffalo Bills draft as well as the Saints' first-round draft choice. You made a good point, John Gruden, man. That'd be a guy maybe who could come in and coach a little bit for the fucking Saints and say, hey, what do we got here? Third stringers, fourth stringers. You guys want to work hard? Come on. This is a guy over here that works his tail off practice. He's drinking a couple Coronas at Hooters. But let me say this, too. For the Saints, right? You guys drafted Spencer Rattler, no?
Honestly, buddy, couldn't even tell you. I
believe the Saints picked up Spencer Rattler, a quarterback who looks like the Temu version of Patrick Mahomes. Kid was a baller in Oklahoma, and then he balled out of South Carolina State, and he's got the fucking arm talent. He can make any throw on the field. It's just a matter of consistency in his attitude, but that could be your potential future starting quarterback.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, Dennis Allen's got to call a better play than a fucking zone read option, but other than that, I mean, it's all good to go. Let's let it ride, baby. Let's let it ride. Hey, I want to bring this up to you since I seen kick return. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers coming out and saying that Justin Fields might be the kick returner this year?
I got something for that. Let me see if I can find this one. Yeah, exactly. That's my fucking thoughts right there. I think that would happen for the fucking Steelers if they decide to use their quarterback of the potential future on kick returns. And this is suggested by a running back. Warren says, hey, he's got the speed. He's got the size. Fuck having him fucking sit behind offensive linemen. Let's send him back behind a bunch of fucking third-string special teamers, right? Great point there, Tyler. I mean, it's something that would be unique. I don't necessarily see it happening. They ain't going to do that. What do you think?
I think Zeke Elliott just, took $3 million away from Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones is actually still paying Zeke another $6 million from his previous contract. So technically, he's paying $9 million for Zeke, but Derrick Henry was too expensive at $9 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You hear that, Jerry? It ain't Jerry's world no more. It's fucking one Buffalo Drive over here. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I think the Buffalo Bills did as good as they could do. They didn't get a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs. I never thought that they were going to be able to get a first-round pick. They did get a second-round pick. They used that to trade back. I mean, really, what's the biggest difference between 28 and 33? A big enough difference to acquire more draft capital. You know what I'm saying? And that's something they needed to do. I think the Bills are really set up well for next year, though, Tyler. I hate to do that because I'm not looking at next year. I just am looking at the actual salary cap situation, their draft pick situation, and everything that's going to be kind of undone heading into next year. But this is a team that I still believe has everything that they need to compete in the AFC East and still win the AFC East. Do you think so?
I think the Jets, if they could have drafted Brock Bowers, I think we might have had a different little conversation here. But I think the fact that they didn't and they kind of stuck to their guns here, we already know how they play. Teron Johnson's going to shut that man down. So, I mean, really, who's going to touch the Bills in the AFC East? Definitely not turn the ball over, I'll tell you that. And, only time can tell. We're in May right now. They don't start playing football till September. Let's wait and see how offseason goes, see the cuts they make, and see who's still on this roster. And then we'll visit this conversation back in August.
Exactly. And by the way, real quick message from our local sponsors.
The Sit Down is presented by Duff's Famous Wings, live on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
All right, that was cool. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you're following and subscribe with your notifications turned on. We're live here on Facebook, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter, every Thursday. And then this will be available via audio podcast, where you get your podcasts via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, too. It will be available on both of those platforms the following day. Overall, Tyler, it was the draft is boring, man, but we had a good time. We kept it going, and we really kept it going. We were troopers to the fucking end. And it's funny because I then saw a comment on YouTube from someone that said, the fact that you guys decided to shut the live down and you called that they were going to trade back, and then they did trade back. I'm a subscriber now just because of that. I want to shout out to that guy.
Appreciate it, buddy.
But overall, man, Tyler, let's talk a little bit about the Buffalo Sabres here, because I want to read to you a little letter that I saw from our guy, Lindy Ruff himself, and just a quick message from RJ. I'm going to read to you, dear Sabres fans. I can't begin to express how excited I am to be back in Buffalo, the city that embraced me since my NHL journey began here as a player in 1979. Your unwavering support for this team is something that I have always admired, even in my years away from the organization. It is something that has always motivated me, and I have seen firsthand the positive impact it has had on our teams here over the years. I want you to know that I feel a profound sense of responsibility upon my shoulders. It is my responsibility not only to all of you who have stood by this team through thick and thin, but also to the organization and its storied history. Most importantly, it is a responsibility I do not take lightly. I can't help but see striking similarities between this group and the ones with whom I have seen rise to the occasion in the past. There's a blend of talent, character, and potential that excites me and fills me with optimism for the journey ahead. We have shared some special years together, each of which has been marked by a combination of talent, determination, and a relentless drive to win here. Today, I have seen echoes of the youthful exuberance and hunger for success that characterized those seasons. Big words so far. I have experienced the deafening roar you created inside of the arena in our biggest moments. I often think of the thousands of people without tickets to games, standing shoulder to shoulder in the plaza, erupting after every goal. I can still see 19,070 white pom-poms waving with excitement as vividly as when I experienced it for the first time. You are truly what sets this organization apart from the rest. As we embark on this journey together, I need you to know that I am focused on doing everything I can to earn your trust. With that being said, I'm going to push this group as hard as any I have coached in the past, because I believe in this team, I believe in this city, and I believe in you. The work starts now. Lindy Ruff. And I got fucking goosebumps, okay? I legit got goosebumps. This is a move I want to talk about because people said, oh, leave it to the Pagulas, go and recite. No. They made the right fucking hire. Whether this guy takes us to the promised land or not, this is the guy that we need right now. This is the guy that believes in us. This is the guy that understands what it takes to be here in Buffalo. You heard it. Since 1979, Lindy Ruff has ties to the city. That's why he was a coach here for so fucking long. That's why the players respected him. Playing for a city that isn't a big market city, this and that, but it's fucking Buffalo, New York, and Lindy Ruff understands what it takes to be from here, because you know what? We are tough. We stand through thick and thin for not just the Sabres, but for the Bills. But we also stand by for fucking the Bisons, the Bandits. We do everything we can. We stand through, and we always fucking soldier on. Tyler, what does that letter say to you, brother?
It's heartwarming. I mean, I knew as soon as I heard the news that Lindy was coming back to this organization that it was the best thing that, could have happened to this organization, because you're talking about a guy that not only played for the Buffalo Sabres, but also coached a lot of big games for the Buffalo Sabres. So when it comes to the culture aspect and when it comes to the leadership, that's the guy that's going to go up to bat for you when you're standing on the deck. He's the guy that's going to get you home, buddy, because listen here, I remember that game in Ottawa, Game 7. And I mean, it was rowdy as rowdy can be. And what'd you see on the bench? Lindy Ruff was ready to go at that coach because it was wrong. and he knows that. And these penalties and all this crap that they get away with now, it ain't gonna keep happening like that. Because if you didn't notice, when me and you were at the hockey games this year, if we didn't call the penalty, it wasn't a penalty. So I'm tired of that. You know, you got a guy that's real living, 64 years old. He's a guy that is the 5th leading wins coach in the NHL history. And, he's the guy that's hungry. The only thing that's not on his resume is a Stanley Cup. And, I think he wants that just as bad as we want that.
Sharpening the swords is what exactly Lindy Ruff is ready to get these Buffalo Sabres to do. And I think that ultimately, you talked about Don Granato being these guys' friends too much. Lindy Ruff is going to be your coach. I mean, he's going to go to bat for you, but he ain't your friend. You're going to work your ass off, and he's going to expect great things out of you because this is a guy that's coached some of the best talent in the NHL. I mean, we're talking about the Dominator. We're talking about fucking Chris Drury, Daniel Briere. We're talking about Ryan Miller. We're talking about some great fucking Sabres players over the years. But this is a guy that understands what guys like me and Tyler feel like in the stands when people are booing. We need to also rally around this team as well. You hear that Lindy Ruff is ready to rally around the team. You hear the guys on the team are ready to rally around each other. So I'm challenging the people of Buffalo, New York, and the fans of the Sabres, whether we suck or not, whether we're great or not, it doesn't matter. Stand by your team, stand by your city, because that's what it takes to fucking build a winner, and that's what we need. And hey, I think it would do a world of wonders for these players to know that we actually truly fucking support them through everything. Because I'll tell you what, me and Tyler were the only guys that were in the stands going, it just needed to start with one goal. We damn near come back, right? But that's got to be the energy that we have from fucking start to finish, 60 minutes or plus of hockey right there. You know what I'm saying? So bada bing, bada boom. Tyler, overall, do you think the Sabres are going to get ready, and they're going to break the drought of the playoff drought this year?
I think they're already getting ready. What I've read, they're already practicing. Whether it's street hockey, I don't care. Just play together. Get the chemistry, because as soon as you get the chemistry, that's what a lot of teams don't have, because they have a lot of star power. I mean, look at the teams that win. You're talking about the Boston Bruins. What do they have? Passion and chemistry. Yep. You're talking about the Vancouver Canucks. What do they have? Passion and chemistry. So that's what I want I want the Buffalo Sabres to have some passion, some fight, some will, some courage. I want the Buffalo Sabres to have a breakout year this year. I think, hands down, we'll make the playoffs next year. You're here first on the sit down.
And also, too, man, just have guts. Go out there and fucking, fight back. Don't, when you get kicked, you get back up. And you don't have to show a reaction every time. But I'll say this. You talked about playing things like street hockey in the offseason. Guys like LeBron James, all right? And whether you like him or not, whether you have an opinion on him or not, let me point out one thing. After 2011, the only time that I blame a finals loss purely on LeBron James, because he played like absolute shit and he choked. He did. But what did he do? He worked in the offseason with Hakeem Olajuwon, former NBA center, legendary center, on his postgame, so he could add a level of offense to it. And what did he do? He responded that next year, and he won his first NBA Finals championship. And then would go on to win another one after that. Then he would go on this run of being in the NBA Finals for so damn long. But that's what it takes. Just because you get kicked doesn't mean you can't keep fighting.
And whether what you say about LeBron James or not, he is a leader. At the end of the day, I watched every playoff game he played this year. Yeah, he was pouting this and that, but the guys can't do nothing. So, why is LeBron at 39 years old gonna, risk, God forbid, knock on wood, tear his Achilles, something stupid, a freak accident, when he can come back next year, try it over again, maybe reload on some of the role players, and get something going. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is a leader. Ask Shaquille O'Neal. He played with him when he was like, this is yours, And Miami, it was me and then D Wade, but I knew it was D Wade's after me, right? When I know Shaq was at the end of his career in Cleveland, but he's like, kid, this is all yours. And Shaquille O'Neal just come out with a podcast with JJ Redick talking about, that kid was just from day one. He was just a magnificent leader. And it shows. I mean, he made it to the finals in 2007.
Yeah.
When he was only 3 years in the league. I mean, that was, you know.
I mean, I was literally just talking to myself about this. Like, I was talking to myself thinking about 07. People fail to remember that LeBron was literally, he carried the Cavaliers through the fucking playoffs to the NBA Finals. And even though it wasn't in the NBA Finals, one of the most incredible fucking performances that I have ever seen was what he did to the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals to get there. What he had to do, I think it was 25 straight that he scored at some point, dude. He was fucking on a different level. But this is a guy that had expectations on him before he even set foot in the NBA. This is a guy that literally could have been drafted after his junior year. That's when you be able to say that. But this is a guy that's responded to the call. So I'm calling on Buffalo fans and I'm calling on the Buffalo Sabres to respond to the call. Lindy Ruff he has set the tone. He wrote the letter. We wrote it right here in the sit down where we read it to you guys. And hey, we talked a little bit about the draft. Tyler, baseball's in full force. I want to ask you a quick question about hockey as well before we get ready to sign off here. Which team in the NHL playoffs right now do you think stands above the rest?
The Florida Panthers.
Yeah, they look pretty fucking good.
I think that's my East team right now. And I think out West, man, dude, Connor McDavid's playing on that LeBron level right now. So
he needs to get to the Stanley Cup. He does.
He does.
It's just too fucking talented of a player to not have played in the Stanley Cup yet.
And hey, he's got some teammates around him. You know, Hyman had 50 goals this year.
Yep.
Like, he's got some players now that, you know, he can actually do something with, because that was
Edmonton's building the fucking squad, man. They have been. But I mean, I know he was in the Western Conference Finals. I think, what was it, back in 2017, and that was with a fucking real subpar Edmonton team. But now, hey, look at. I think that's got to be the guy that gets there and gets it done this year, because he's just too good of a fucking player, right? So appreciate everybody for tuning in here with us. Tyler, you got anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
Let's go Buffalo.
Amen to that. And I want to appreciate everybody for your likes, your shares, your comments, and everybody for stopping into the sit down right here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at Buffalo Sauce God. Make sure you're liked, following, and subscribe with your notifications turned on. At Anthony Bamastudo on Facebook, make sure you're following and liked, and also with the notifications turned on, so you don't miss the live versions of this show or any of the content coming from us over here at the GameBook. This will also be available via audio podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right the next day after the show. So I want to say once again, thank you for everybody for stopping in. It was a great show last week, great show this week. We'll be back next Thursday here in the sit down again to discuss everything with the Buffalo Bills, Sabres, and the world of sports. God bless everybody. Let's go Buffalo and go Bills.